Ladies and gentlemen, your hosts, Michael Wilkes, Angel Ortiz, Dr. Chad, and Sam La Cavera. Go check out beardedbrowns.com and be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Enjoy the show.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are live here at the Bearded Browns podcast today. And we had some breaking news yesterday that obviously stirred up a bunch of controversy in the Cleveland world yesterday. And we're going to talk about that. We have some fun stuff to get to, actually, that's going to not change your mind on anything, but was this deal really bad? Was this deal really good? Could this deal help the franchise out? Could this deal break the franchise? I mean, everything we've done since 1999 has broken the franchise, correct?
Not everything, but we usually find a way to screw it up.
Right.
It's
We're
find a
gonna
way
get
to
into
screw it up.
Yeah. We are going to get into some stuff today that's possibly going to make some heads turn, and we're going to get into some stuff that might make this a little more sense to everybody. You know, open up the brain a little bit, make you think a little bit about what's going to happen with this Cleveland Browns defense this year. Obviously, this has happened.
Dun dun dun.
This is what we're going to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. The Cleveland Browns trade Myles Garrett, but you get edge rusher Jared Verse from the LA Rams and a first-round pick next year, a second-round pick in 28, and a third-round pick in 2029. But today I want to say something. Me and Sam here are representing our Myles jerseys.
And I'm representing Myles, current Myles. Some of us are living in the now, and some of us are already living in the past.
They're just throwbacks. These are throwbacks. They're throwbacks now. No, you'll have that. So go ahead.
I actually missed my other Rams shirt. It was a Cleveland Rams shirt. For those of you that do not know the history, the Rams originated in Cleveland in the 1930s. They won the NFL championship in the 1945 season, immediately packed up and moved to Los Angeles the year after that. So I used to have a like old vintage Cleveland Rams shirt that is I got too chubby for. So got rid of it. Regretted it because I've actually dropped pounds since a couple years ago when I did that, and I probably could still get back into it. But yeah, they were so out on the West Coast here. I usually cheer for the Rams, or if I'm going to go to a game, it's a Rams game, and I'll root for the Rams as like a second team because they're not in the AFC. They almost never interact with the Browns. They never play the Browns, and so they were a really safe, easy choice for me to pivot to as a like second team to watch if the Browns are on a bye week, or they always play at the later time slot because it's West Coast time and all their rivals are out here. So yeah, this is my backup team anyway. Still doesn't really affect how I feel about this trade, but worth mentioning why I even have this shirt.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Everybody that doesn't know, Chad does live in California. I wanted to say that.
I'm wondering how many people are like, Jesus, did Chad already switch teams to the Rams? Like, no, I had this shirt before yesterday. So,
you know how we have the Shador fans? It is Chad, the Myles fan, strictly Myles.
I'm part of the Garrett gang.
The Garrett gang. I like that. But Chad, do you want to kick us off with some positivity here?
Yeah. So more like I just wanted to get everybody's kind of initial reaction. So and it's not all going to be positive. So I wanted to know your guys' perspective of what you like initially thought when you first heard the news, because I went on Twitter and so I got that reaction, and that's how I get a lot of my Cleveland reaction. But I know really well that Twitter is not a great representation of Cleveland. It's like some of the most dramatic, need to get your opinions out fans, including myself. Like, so it's not always like representative of the whole city or even like the guys on the podcast. I saw a lot in both directions. It's a lot like politics. Like the stuff you see the most is way one side or way the other. You don't see a lot of like middle ground. And I think that's where a lot of people are, is like a little bit torn. It was more like, I hate the Browns. They're stupid. This trade is terrible. Or this is brilliant. The Browns need to do this. And this was, so I was kind of curious, like, what is your guys' just initial, like, you finally heard the news. What was your first, like, kind of thought?
Go ahead, Sam.
I was at work and started a new job. It's busy work. So out of roofing now, I'm actually working at a shop all year round. It's nice out of the weather. But my shop foreman looked at his phone. He goes, well, Myles Garrett's gone. And I'm like, here we go with this again. And I'm like, man, I said, is this for real or is this reckless speculation? He goes, well, hang on, let me look again. He goes, yeah, Myles Garrett's gone. I said, anybody could say Myles Garrett's gone. I said, well, okay, so if he's gone, what did we get? And he's like, well, we got a defensive end, a verse, and a first-round pick. I said, they better have more than that. They better have more than that. So kind of to be honest with you guys, I love Myles. I'm not mad at Myles. It was a relief because I every year you keep hearing about it. You know, he's not at the OTAs. Okay, he never comes to the OTAs. Everybody relax. Myles will be back. But I don't know, man. I really felt when I heard that I wasn't shocked. Maybe now if it happened last year, I'd have been in more of a shock. But as far as this year, and what changed that for me was I really think, my opinion, once Schwartz didn't get bumped up to that head coaching job and he wasn't no longer with us, I think that had an effect on him. And I don't know, man. I was like, I think that played with him. I think that decided some things for him for sure. You know, he did give us nine years, you know, and put it all out there on the field, you know, so I can't take nothing away from him. But I really wasn't shocked, guys. I wasn't. I was just kind of like, all right, well, it was either going to be two things. He's here again or he's not. And you know me, man, I pick up and I go, all right, I'm like, it's done deal. Let's roll. You know, I'm not going to sit here and go out and burn jerseys like we did when LeBron left and tear the city up because LeBron left. You know what I mean? You know, yeah. Same thing with LeBron. So I give him props. You know, LeBron won that ring. He gave us when he was here, 6 or 7 years. And then Myles gave us 9, you know, at the end of the day, you know, part of that being where you're at is to go get your championship, get your ring, man. So I'm not going to hold nobody. I wish him the best, man. Hopefully he does okay. So, but not shocked. Wasn't shocked, fellas.
Before I go, we're going to check in on our number one fan of the show, James Frank. He says, I'm still not okay. No, I'm good. Verse is going to be a dog. I'm at work, but I'll hop on and watch later. The text I got from him yesterday, he was not okay. The picture I got from him made it even funnier. But I was also at work at my new job because I'm not a tow truck driver anymore. And working with this kid, and he's like, he's a big Browns fan as well. So he's like, dude, we just traded Myles Garrett. I'm like, what, dude? And I look at my phone, and then all you guys start texting me. Then my phone just starts going crazy. So I'm like, oh, man, this is real. This is real. And the first initial impact was that gut feeling. You're like, oh, no, man, we did it again. You know, like we're there again. This is where we're at. So as the day went on, you know, I'm still working and just thinking about everything, and did a little bit of research on Jared Verse, and you see the possibilities with this kid. Younger, obviously, you start thinking about that. You got younger talent. You got money to be saved, lots of money for now until, you know, Jared Verse is out of his rookie contract, and boom, here goes the dynamite if he is that good. It's something to look forward to. I know that a lot of people don't think Myles was a what do you want to? Was he a poison in the locker room or was he not? Was he a mentor to these guys? Was he helping them out? Was he being a team leader on the defensive side of the ball? Will we ever know? I mean, truly, will we ever know? You don't show up to OTAs for these rookies to help them out. I mean, I'm not saying that's his job either, right? But it's as the best defensive player in the league, I think you should be at things like those. I think you should be a team leader. I'm not going to sit here and bash Myles Garrett and say that he wasn't great by any means, but after hearing years of "I want out, trade me, I'm done," see ya, dude. I mean, you knew Cleveland sucks. Glad you stayed for 9 years. I appreciate everything you've done for this franchise. I really, really do appreciate everything he's done, sincerely. But I think it is time to move forward because there is no I in team. That saying really goes with this right now. You're one man. It's not a one-man defense. You could pick up pieces along the way. That's what we're going to do. And the fact that we got a 1, 2, and a 3 out of it, I'm happy. And me and Sam were actually talking before the show. We did get a little bit more. You got pretty much 2 1s because he was a first-round pick in 2024. And you got your first-round pick coming up next year. And then your round 2 pick. I mean, what do we have to lose? It's Cleveland, guys. We're used to it. Yes, the best defensive player in the league. You win some, you lose some. You have to lose some to win some as well. So,
Yeah.
Man, you guys just covered like half of the outline in that first initial. You guys had a lot more initial thoughts than me. Like, what was your very first thought? And you guys had all of that as your first. I was like, wow, you guys went way deeper.
Yeah.
I was more like, just like, okay, so like another reality check that like another like impact Cleveland guy, like one of the very few superstar 100% agreed upon, like absolute like juggernauts of a sports team moved on. And like my only initial thought was like, what a bummer for Cleveland fans that like every time there's somebody to hang your hat on, that like you have somebody that everybody else would want and he walks out the door because your franchise can't figure out a way to get pieces to make him stay, which is I think what it always comes down to. Like that's what it came down to. He's gone because they made a mistake in how they built this franchise, and instead of a trajectory up, they went up a little, plateaued, and then plummeted down. And it was just bummer for fans that's happening again here, because it's happened with the Tribe, it's happened with the Cavs, and we don't have it that often happen for the Browns because we rarely have good enough players that want out who are that great of players, because we haven't done a good job in the last 25 years building the team. But you finally got 2 guys that were kind of franchise face of the franchise staples in Baker Mayfield, who kind of changed a lot of this team. And because you made one move that took you in the wrong direction, he's gone. And that same move is a big part of the reason this guy's gone, just because like you couldn't make the right decision at the most important spot in football. So that was just my initial reaction too. And I can go straight on to the next question. Like, I did not think Myles Garrett could be traded. Did you guys? I couldn't remember. I know we've talked about him so much on the podcast, but I just couldn't remember if you guys were on the whole, like I definitely think it's likely he could be traded versus not. I didn't.
well,
because I didn't think anybody would pay the price, honestly.
I thought there was a no trade clause in a new contract, but I know they went back a couple weeks and changed some things in his contract to make things be able to happen if need be. And that was when
they
Andrew
pushed
Berry
his
said-
bonus.
Yeah, and
right.
that's
They pushed
what-
his bonus.
So he's guaranteed the $15 million bonus, but
The Browns don't have to pay it.
the Rams will have to take care of the rest of the salary.
Yeah. What about you, Sam? Did you think this was like a
Man,
real? It sounds like from your last answers, you do think that this was a real possibility.
Yeah, it's just nothing. I'm numb anymore to this stuff. You know, it just seems like can'ts can a lot in this sport. And I hate to sound cliche, but it is a business at the end of the day. You hear these guys say it all the time. And if there's a team out there that really wants a guy and they want to give the farm up to go get that guy, there's deals that go down, and this is how it goes down. So, and then sometimes it's great players that want more money, and then they get that money and they're gone too. So it's nature of the beast when it comes to this, man. It's just, keep it as transparent as can be. It's a business. If there's ways to get around some type of contract to get a guy out, that'll happen. That's why these guys have top agents. Like I said, guys, no shock to me. It's just like, did I want him to go? No, I didn't want Myles to go. I wanted him to keep that helmet here, man. I wanted him to, walk that Hall of Fame walk, as a Brown. But I'll still love him. I'm not mad at him. He's got to do what he's got to do for him too, man. Some fans might not understand that, but I understand it, man. It's just how it goes. It's how the cookie crumbles sometimes, fellas.
Yeah. And so I had like another thought, but you guys, it sounds like thought that this was realistic. I really didn't think it, and I was wrong about it the same way I was wrong about the Browns not being able to trade the number 2 pick last year. And that my thought was, I don't think anybody that has the draft capital that we would want would come forward to do it. And so that's why I said same thing I said last year. Like, do you want to trade back out of number 2? I was like, yeah, but who's going to give up a price that Andrew Berry will take? And I didn't think anybody would. And then the Jaguars came and they gave up way more than I even would have asked for. and then this year, they, we all have different expectations, and that would be my next question. What would you guys have demanded basically in a Garrett trade? Like, what was your guys' price tag?
Obviously, I would go another edge rusher for sure. You want to cover that.
That was going to be on your price tag, was like an edge rusher replacement.
Yeah, somebody solid enough, like first, I would be okay with. And I was thinking maybe 2 firsts, but I didn't want to be unrealistic. And that's just something you have to take into consideration. Realism. Yeah, in this league, you never know. You've seen some bogus stuff happen, and you've seen some off-the-wall stuff happen. It's kind of crazy. I was expecting – there's people out there talking about 4 firsts, guys.
Yeah, that's not real. That's not real money, guys.
Yeah,
you're not going to
be realistic.
Yeah,
be realistic.
Those are people that are like, I'm not trading him, so I'm going to make the price tag so high I don't trade him. And so you answered more of like what Andrew Berry, I guess, was really onto, Mike. That was not in my. I thought we need 2 first-round picks out of this, and they can't both be bad ones. Like, I don't want the Seahawks 2 first-rounders that could be like 28 and 30. I wanted 2 first-rounders, and I wanted one of them not to be low, and then I wanted a second-round or a second-round equivalent player, so like a decent young starter who could make a starting roster somewhere. That was kind of what I expected, and that's why I didn't think anybody was going to trade that, because I thought the teams that are going to want him are the teams that are Super Bowl contenders, and they're going to be teams that expect to pick in the bottom 5, like 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. And so I was like, that's why I don't think this will happen, because I think the price tag is going to be like about 2 firsts and a second, or 2 firsts and any starter, basically. And I was like, I don't think there's a team that's given that.
I would have given up Dylan Gabriel for a first-round pick in 2084.
Poor Dylan. Poor Dylan.
Like such a hater. Like so sizist. Publicly sizist.
That was good. It took me a second. I'm like, wait a minute. That was good, Chad.
Sizist.
Yeah. Well, so I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Sam. I was gonna say I think Andrew Berry is leaning a little closer, like in between me and Mike. And then what were you thinking, Sam, for a price?
2 first-rounders. I'd say a first-rounder 2027 for sure, which we got. I wanted another first-rounder in there in the mix. 2028 would have been great. And then maybe a second or third, but a valuable player. Offense or defense, you kind of got to take. You're never going to get in gold of what a Myles is, but another top-tier type guy. I've thought was reasonable, you know. So a two top first round, maybe a second or a third on the third option there, and then, you know, a top player. Now, I will say that with them going after an edge guy, like Mike had said, it's filling some shoes that are going to be gone. It's big shoes to fill, you know. But I think they went right away and did that, and then we're getting a younger guy that's coming into himself. You know, this guy, first round pick in 2024 too. So, you know, let's make it happen, man. I mean, things are done. And that's where we're going with it. We got to push forward. As Browns fans, we do that the best, man. We keep on going, keep on trucking.
Okay, so basically, like, yeah, I mean, we all had some similar expectations. I thought it was worth asking with you guys because I heard some people that were like, I need 2 1s. And then I've heard some people like what Mike just said, like, I need like 4 1s. And I'm like, what I think was funny was you guys both included a player and I included a player. I said 2 1s and a 2, but I didn't think that was going to happen. So I was thinking more like 2 1s and then a player that was worth a 2 was kind of what I envisioned and said, similar to basically the Micah Parsons. I got it from basically the Micah Parsons trade. They got 2 1s, 2 late 1s. I wanted something a little more than that, but 2 late 1s and then a player that would have been maybe worth a 2. So, but yeah, I mean, just curious. It sounds like everybody had somewhat realistic expectations, but we can get into like whether we think they got that or not. But what the Browns got is not where I wanted to start. I wanted to start with what the Rams got. So, one thing, they got Myles Garrett. They paid a player that they picked in the first round 2 years ago. They paid a future first rounder, a future second, a future third. What do the Rams got, guys? I mean, they got the best player in football, possibly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
For what their goals are, can you put a price on that? Like, I don't think the price came down to just like was there a team that could make an offer? The Rams, it's got to be a team that wants to make a playoff push because nobody that's picking in the top 10 or even in the middle is going to trade their future for him. They were the perfect team to make this push, and basically what they got was the best player in football. Now, I don't think any of us would debate that. They definitely got the best, maybe not the most valuable player in football because he's not a quarterback, but they got probably the best player in football, definitely the best defensive player currently in football. I guess my question now would be, though, because they gave up what I think is a pretty good amount of assets, are they just Super Bowl or bust? Like, this is, Myles got a couple years on his contract, but this is a Matt Stafford situation. Like, what is he playing 2 more years? Is this Super Bowl in the next 2 years, or they kind of lose this trade? What do you think?
I wish nothing. I never wish any harm on nobody in any football game. I don't. I thought about this, and it's the NFL, guys. We know anything can happen. It does happen. All right. So Matthew Stafford's getting up there in age. We all know that, right? He's been in the league a while. He's been banged around. He's still a great player. But if Matthew Stafford goes down, guys, who's the backup? Are they going to go ahead and throw Ty Simpson in there right away? And then now, hear me out. Now, would Myles be in the same situation that he was here, but over in the Rams? So if Stafford goes down and then they got to throw a rookie out there that might not be ready yet, wouldn't that be kind of like the same scenario that you just left?
It's
it
feels to me like one of the closest scenarios in the entire NFL.
It's possible, so it's like, I was thinking that, I'm like, oh yeah. And then they got Ty Simpson, Stafford's getting old. I was doing the weights and scales thing, man. And I'm like, it's the NFL, man. I mean, I don't wish that upon nobody, but it's something that could happen, and then Myles would be sitting there going, I just left that shit. I just left
Stafford has already played 17 years. So I guess my closing to this, and I think it sounds like you agree, is the bigger risk. I think the best piece of this trade was Myles. There's no doubting that. To me, the bigger risk of this trade is actually kind of goes to the Rams, because the Browns probably were going to keep Myles for the next 4 seasons. And then I think after that, he probably would have bounced to try something to end his career. But the Rams kind of staked a big chunk of their future to win in the next 2 years. So in the scenario Sam just named, which I'm not betting on Stafford getting hurt. These older savvy quarterbacks learn to get rid of the ball, learn to not take the hits. Anything could still happen. He had his absolute best season of his entire career and was an MVP last year. So it's not like he's over the hill. But if something happens to him, they're going to be like,
Well, like you got to think, Chad, though, too, man. Like before Deshaun Watson got hurt, he was in pretty good shape, and then it just happened to have that Achilles snap on him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just thinking from a standpoint that Stafford will get knocked out of a game because he just got blasted. I'm talking about as an older player, and I'm sure he takes care of his body, but it just goes to show that, and we do hear a lot of these Achilles a lot. It's a lot anymore, turn the wrong way, pop, and then that guy's over there as he's done for the season, and then 17 years in the league, like you just said, is he come back from that? You're a doctor, you know what I'm saying? That's a
not
tough
at this
one.
age. If he has an injury like that, he's going to Joe Thomas and he's out. I fully believe that. He's got a family. He's got the money. He's got the Super Bowl. He stayed around to try to win another Super Bowl. He's not doing a 12-month Achilles. He's going to Joe Thomas. If he gets hurt, he's out. And I do appreciate, Sam, that you're putting so much bad juju into his world.
Well, I'm not. It's just the NFL
crumbling him with this negativity.
No, things happen, and that's something that can happen. So maybe, like I said, I no ill will towards anybody. I don't care. I don't want nobody to get hurt. I remember there was a game where we were playing Pittsburgh, and we knocked the crap out of Roethlisberger, and they knocked him out of the game. And I said, I don't want him on the bench. I want to beat him with him in the game. You know what I mean? I'm that guy. I don't want.
Yeah, you're old school. That's an old school mentality. That's like,
Yeah.
I just want to beat them at their best.
Yeah,
I don't care. Like,
to me, guys, it's really not about one person coming to make a difference on your team. You had an elite guy there. You made a sacrifice, which could be good or bad. Myles Garrett's going to be 31 in December. His age is getting up there, and we were talking about it before the show where his stats went up. We'll get some more of that, but I don't really think that that's going to make a huge difference for them. I honestly don't. I really don't.
I think a lot of Cleveland fans.
North.
I think a lot of Cleveland fans would disagree. I'm guessing. I think typically the Cleveland fans agree with Mike a lot. Like, I'm not sure if the most, but I don't think they would agree with that. I think they expect he's going to make like a huge, huge upgrade for them, a huge difference for them.
I'm not going to go and say he's not going to go. He's going to go out there and erupt. He's going to be Myles. He's going to do Myles' thing. Me and Sam were talking before the show about seeing Myles just bust off that line and do his little loop swoop and pull thing. It's just amazing watching him. It is.
Yep.
And we're all going to miss that, but it's time.
Yeah,
and I don't think you can make that big of an impact.
I said,
okay.
I think I texted in the morning brew chat. I said, what do you mean? No more quarterback Halloween tombstones here in Cleveland?
I know, it's a bummer. That's you're exactly right. Like, it's the fan. For me, that was my initial reaction is like, we kind of just lost somebody that I've gotten so used to being the biggest part of the Browns. Like, that stuff, like, he's still going to do that. He's going to do it in somewhere that doesn't have autumn, so Halloween's not going to be the same for him either there.
Seriously, right now, you're wearing a Ram shirt.
That's why I'm so plugged into them here. But yeah, I don't know, Mike. I guess I would rephrase this way. If you don't think it's going to make the biggest impact, they came one game away from the Super Bowl last year. If Myles Garrett was on their team instead of Jarrett Verse last year, do you think they up their chances of beating the Seahawks and going to the Super Bowl?
No. What did he do for the Browns?
Well, we had some offensive problems. You got to have.
We're not the Rams in the NFC Championship game.
They both got to be cooking, and I said
totally different divisions. It's going to be way different for him in general. He's not going to play all the same teams he played before. Not all of them.
You can't have a top.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that you don't think this pushes them.
I don't think one guy's going to push any team any further. Really, I don't. Unless you're a quarterback, I don't think you're going to push any team to the extent of a Super Bowl, especially being a defensive line player. I just think it's crazy.
Well, Vegas seems to think that they got pretty good odds. I don't know if
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm speechless. Like I think you are the only person I've heard from that doesn't think that he improves the Rams.
I mean, he's going to improve them. I don't think it's going to win them a Super Bowl.
You can only improve to the Super Bowl. They were the game away from the Super Bowl last year, so the only improvement is
he could have a fall off year. It could happen. It's all change for him. He could go in there and just culture shock everybody and just ruin the locker room. That could happen. I'm just thinking worst case scenario because right now I'm still kind of pissed about yesterday. But anyways.
So Mike comes out with his like, I'm not that surprised. Let's move on. He should go. And then he's like, I'm actually pissed about this, and that's why I'm.
That's his other
colors come out once you get talking.
His other part of his heart was like,
yeah. Once you get talking, the true part comes out. He's a little bit crushed by this, ladies and gentlemen.
Really, I got over it yesterday after work. I was fine with it. I talked to my grandfather. I think I talked to Sam. Yeah, I talked to you on the ride home. I was all right after work.
I think I told Mike. I think when Mike asked me, I go, I'm glad it's over because I said, it's just every season. Should I stay or should I go now? Yeah. And I'm like, man, I was just like, okay, it's already done. It's time to move on. I mean, I'm a guy that's ready to get it. So that's that. And now you got to look ahead now here, new coach.
And honestly, I hope Mike is right.
Look at that. Guy's going to take us to the Super Bowl right there.
I honestly hope Mike is right. I hope that Myles does fall off, and I hope Sam is right that Stafford has a devastating career-ending injury. And I hope all that actually happens. I'm just like, I would be so shocked if
I don't think it's
the Rams defense isn't slightly better.
I don't think Myles is going to necessarily fall off. I just don't think that he's going to take the team that extra distance. If
the extra distance is literally like 2 plays. If he's 2 plays better than they had last year, they go to the Super Bowl.
If he gets 20,
they were this close.
If he gets
they were the closest team to the Super Bowl.
Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, my friend.
Which is why they made this trade, because they were almost there, and they're like, we need just the smallest piece to move us forward. And it cost them. The only thing it cost them was the player in the same position. So their defense it's not like they gave us a star cornerback and they're like, well, our line got better, but our secondary got worse. Like their line got better and everybody else stayed where they're at. I guess I'm just like, I just think if you're that close to the Super Bowl, like adding the best player in the entire league, if that doesn't take you a step forward, like, then why are we talking about how good players are? Who cares? If we don't think the best player in the league makes a team better, 1 game better. I just like, it's crazy. I don't know. But
I mean, if he goes there, like he broke the sack record last year. If he goes over there and breaks it again and has 22 and a half sacks and passes that, I think that makes the Rams defense better.
Yeah. Because I have a question. Go ahead. Since all this happened, do you guys think that Myles Garrett's still better than TJ Watt?
Yes, for sure. Yes. I still think he's the best player in the entire league.
I'm just wondering if Browns fans are going to, flip-flop that. Now, you know what? Maybe TJ Watt was better this whole time.
No way. They're not true Browns fans then, Mike, because we already talked about it. Pittsburgh is the enemy, will always be the enemy, and that's the end of that. That's the end of that.
But they will look for ways to like I said, the thing I've kept hearing the most is, well, he's getting older, so he'll probably start to go down.
Yeah, I like what Don Fowler said. Don
Fowler.
Yeah.
Verse is better than Watt. All right, let's in the future, over the next 4 years, maybe Watt is getting older faster than Garrett has been. Okay, so we'll move off of Garrett because we're kind of cruising on. Let's start moving on to the Browns side of this because I don't think we'll ever agree. I think I hope I'm wrong, but I think he raises them a notch. That doesn't even mean they'll make it to the championship again. I'm just thinking like where they were last year, they're probably picturing if we're that same team, we get to that same place, Myles gets us to the Super Bowl and then we can go from there. But they still have a long way to go. Like in Sam's scenario, I mean, you went to the worst case scenario, like a torn Achilles. Matt Stafford could break his foot in training camp, just a small stress fracture, and miss 5 games, and they go 1-4, and all of a sudden they can't make the Super Bowl because they are just, they're trying to get back into it. Or there's so many things that can go wrong, which is why I think it was a risky trade for the Rams. Myles has had injury history too. Like, it's not like he's immune, but it's a risky one for them. But it was the bigger overall like loss to the culture, identity, and fan base, I think, was Myles. But on the opposite side of that, I think it's worth talking about what the Browns got. So we said they got a number 1, a number 2, a number 3. We all expect, I think if you're being realistic, you shouldn't expect that number 1 to be anything but like 25 or later. I mean, that's realistic. It could be you're hoping so, but like you should be expecting that's a very late 1. And then you got Jared Verse. So I was wondering what you guys thought Jared Verse is worth, or if you even followed his game long enough, because he's a young player. He hasn't been there that long. Clevelanders don't closely follow the Rams. Would like Sam said, or Mike said, his boss was like, oh, they got some defensive end. If it was Micah Parsons, he wouldn't have been like, they got some edge rusher. It looks like Mike. They would have been like, they got Micah Parsons. It sounds like he wasn't like super familiar. And I think I would not be shocked if a lot of Browns fans aren't familiar. The Rams are not anything that Browns fans follow. They're in the other league. They're across the country. He's young, so it's not like he's a well-known established name who's been top 10 for, 5 years. And you're like, okay, I know who that guy is. So what do you guys think, or do you guys really know like what Jared Verse is worth? In draft capital value.
I honestly think he is worth more than, I'm not going to say they gave up. The Rams got snuffed in the deal.
But just in draft capital. How many? What do you think Jared Verse would have traded for if a team just traded for Jared Verse during this last draft? They were like, I don't want to pick. I want to trade. What do you think they would have had to give up to give Jared Verse?
I would say at least a 1 and a 2.
Okay. That's actually what I said also.
That's exactly where I was going to go. I said at least a 1 and a 2. And the kid's he's a great player, and he's got more to go. He's only been 2.
I said he was going to have to be a 1 and a 2 or a top 10 pick.
What'd you say, Mike?
I said don't get too into it yet.
Oh,
yeah, I heard. I knew you tilted your head back. You were thinking you were about to just spill the beans.
No. I definitely think that kid is worth a 1. I definitely think that kid's worth 2. I think that kid is going to develop to be a great player, and it's Myles' shoes you're going to fill. No, Myles.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to do that. I don't believe.
Myles is probably going to go down as the best defensive player in the NFL right now until somebody else comes along. But who knows how long that could be or where that could go. But I'm thinking that with Jared Verse, I think we have potential to have a great defensive edge rusher in the making. And I think the team's switching. They're shifting. It happens every so often. Guys get older, guys retire, or guys move on. And that's where we're at right now. I feel that's where the Browns are at right now. So if you're going to do a big deal like that, which they did for Myles, you definitely want to get youth. You want a good player. I think they got that out of him. But I also think that kid was worth a number 1 pick and a number 2 pick for sure.
Okay. Yeah. So I said basically either like around a middle 1 and a 2, or like top 10. I thought that's what he was worth. And then I saw a lot of analysts that were saying the same, like, oh, this guy's like an early top half of the first round and a 2 player. I kept seeing on Twitter yesterday, Browns fans acting as if he was worth less than another first. Like Browns fans were saying, like, we got Jared first, a 2nd, and a 3rd. I wanted 2 firsts and a 2nd, so I'm disappointed. And I was like, wait, do you think he's not worth more than? Because that tells me you think he's worth less than a 1st. And I was blown away by that. And I was like, people really do not know who Jared Verse is when this trade was made, which didn't surprise me. But before I would make that comment of like, we got shorted, I feel like we should spread the news. And again, if you guys think he's worth 1 and 2, you agree with me. Charles Robinson, who's like the lead sports reporter for Yahoo Sports, said he had him graded as two ones. He's like, I think a team would have had to give up 2 1s to get Jared Verse. Now, he didn't give, like, I was more specific, like a middle 1 and a 2 or like a top 10 1, I thought, but he thought just 2 1s, like, which is not that much. Like, according to some fans, that's less than what the Browns got, apparently. So Charles Robinson thinks Jared Verse is worth more than some Browns fans think the Browns just got, which is crazy to me. So I'm glad you guys are on the same page, because I was like, I don't know. I can't prove it. But I think most of the actual analysts and people who watch the Rams are like, yeah, Jared Verse. So we'll get to Jared Verse specifically later, besides the draft capital, and we'll talk about why people think he's worth a 1 and a 2, or even Charles Robinson thinks he's worth 2 1s. But, you know, I just think, like, that is like, was such a crazy response to me, to see people thinking just a random 1, which has a 50% bust rate and is worth less than Jared Verse, who I believe you pray that your number 1 pick turns into, I guess. And we'll get to why later, but, like, that's what I think. If I pick somebody in the first round anywhere, I'm hoping he turns into what Jared Verse has been his first 2 years. So I was blown away by that thought process of some fans in Cleveland. So I don't know what people in the comments think or what they thought he was worth, but that was, for me, I was just like, wow, I got to get that thought out in the open, because I could not have been more perplexed at people's initial reaction.
Yeah. Really quick before we move along. Everybody, we did make it to the finals for the Scene Magazine Best Sports Podcast in Cleveland. So if you guys could go to vote.cleveland scene, hit peoples and places, and you don't even have to type it in anymore. You just go in there and click our name, and that's it. We appreciate you guys. We're hoping to do it twice in a row. That'd be awesome, and looking forward to it. But yeah, keep it. I think voting is up till the 15th, so definitely go vote for us. We appreciate you guys.
Yep. Go out and vote, man. Go out and vote. We are trying to two-peat this thing, man, and it's thanks to you guys. Last year, we were able to take it to the top. So let's go again. Let's do it. Do it.
So I thought, so for the next part, a word has come out now. It's not so much of a thought anymore of how this trade actually went down. It's coming out. For those that haven't heard it, I can give you the fill in, but I wanted to share Angel's thoughts, basically, because my next question was, how did the inclusion of Jared Verse affect this trade, compared to, like, the fact that the Browns had already come out and said, you know, we're not going to trade Myles right now. Like, I think they were open to it. They wouldn't, Mike or Angel, Mike or Sam, one of you said earlier, they wouldn't have moved that June date if they weren't keeping the door open for teams to make offers. You know, obviously, when they were like, yeah, we're going to move your bonus, Myles agreed to that. I mean, nobody says, like, yeah, pay me later. Like, what if something happens to him? Like, you want that money right now. It's your money. He only moved it back because he knew that was his chance out to get to a different situation. And so he agreed to it. And the Browns agreed to it because they're like, well, let's not close the door on this. What if something comes that's too good to pass up on? So I was curious, like, how much the inclusion of Verse changed their ability to make the trade. And Angel basically responded with, Verse needed to be in this deal in order for Andrew Berry to pull the trigger. And this is why. This would be the take I'd be saying if I was on the show. And it's that Myles Garrett it was just traded out for a younger guy who gets the basically same pressure rate, which they really value, and who you can control under a cheaper contract. The pressure rate being the same, him being younger, him being cheaper, and the Browns being able to now recoup $40 million on the cap to spend on other player or players to bring in is what made this deal done. And that actually pretty much got reported by Jay Glazer, one of the NFL insiders, who basically said he has it on good knowledge that the Rams tried to make this trade happen during the draft.
Sorry for
And
comments.
and I don't know if that included like, the Rams had a pretty high pick. They picked what was it, 13th or something like that in the draft, wherever they picked Ty Simpson. And I don't know if they were going to give up that pick or not, or if they were willing to give 2 future firsts and the Browns said no. Like, I don't know what was going to happen there. But Jay Glazer basically said that there was a hard no initially. The Rams kept at it. And part of the reason the Rams picked Ty Simpson after the Browns wouldn't trade Myles Garrett is because they knew they were trading a future one to get Myles Garrett. And so they wanted to get a quarterback for their future, knowing that they were going to have at least one of their ones, if not more, in the future gone. So that's why they picked Ty Simpson instead of like a player for this year, was because they knew they were giving up future picks at that time for Garrett. So it wasn't a done deal, but he said he knows that at that time they were all in on finding a way to make this trade happen. So obviously Jared Verse wasn't in the initial trade, or the Browns might have made that trade on draft day, but it must have come around that they said, what if we shifted from 2 1s or whatever to 1 in Verse? That's what my heart is kind of telling me, is that they were going to give up 2 1s and a 2. And the Browns were like, no, thanks, because those are going to be probably super late ones. And they said, what if we give you Jared Verse, who we just spent a 1 on 2 years ago, and who's actually outperformed his draft capital? And the Browns were like, yeah, we'll take that and a 1.
You could have our 2017 first round pick, and we're going to take your 2024 first round pick. And we're going to get the younger
2027. Yeah. So, yeah. I think it was more like, we'd rather have a piece we know will work than just an extra late first rounder. They were not looking to get Omar Cooper Jr. or Casey Concepcion. They wanted somebody that they were like, we already know this guy will work, not a late first rounder that we're like praying can work. So I just thought it was interesting that Jay Glazer basically was like, this was happened. This has been in the works for months, and the Rams knew it. And that's why they picked Ty Simpson, is because they knew they couldn't pick a quarterback in the next year or two because they were about to give up first round picks. So,
yeah.
Go ahead.
What do you think, Mike? Give it to us.
I am already into the next question. Like, I'm just ready.
Go for it, because they already made these statements.
How about the one that's unchecked in the notes there?
Yep.
That do you buy the Browns' best for the organization long-term plan? And an explanation for that is something I think KP Young in the actual comments said, and this is what I wanted to touch base with. Obviously, the Browns are going very young, it seems. They're trying to make that roster younger, apparently, to last longer, in hopes that that's what it is, with some talent. So do I think that this is a better move for the organization? Yes. Could it be a long-term plan? Yes. But what are you going to do 7 years down the road when all these players are older? You're going to have to rinse and recycle. I mean, you're not going to get another Myles Garrett to be able to trade like that. I know that.
Not likely. I mean, it's not likely you end up with the best player on the offense or defensive side of the ball. It just.
But here's what Barry does. So Barry likes to piss Cleveland off, and then he totally redeems himself somewhere down the line. Like, that's what he does. So I'm looking forward to, this is just the beginning of this. So I think there might be some more play here soon coming up. We're less than 100 days away from the season, I believe.
Yeah.
So things are going to start happening, guys. And that's what I'm looking forward to for the organization as a whole, not just one player.
Okay. So after we talk about Jared Verse, which is like the next short section of just like, who is he? What has he done? How are his numbers? What should we be expecting? We actually are going to go into next year's outlook. So we'll talk a little bit about like that more too. I think Mike is finding out like, what is Andrew Berry going to do with this? So, but before we do that, let's talk about what he already did. So he brought in a future first. We know that it's going to be a late one, but it doesn't matter. It's nice to have an extra first rounder just sitting there. And like we talked about, we expect it to be late, but there's always a chance. It's not going to get later. It's a first. So it's not going to get worse than 32, but it can possibly get way higher than 32. It just can't get worse. So he basically said, I would take 32 in Jared Verse with the chance that that 32 goes down, down, down. If Cleveland is lucky enough, which we rarely are, but what they already have in the door to replace, and it's what you asked for, Mike. It's a one-on-one swap. They got rid of Myles and they did not replace him because I don't think he's replaceable. But this year he won't be as good, but he's obviously got more years in the tank than Myles probably has. So who is Jared Verse? Let's talk a little bit about like what they got and let's show some of those numbers. So this is your guy. Jared Verse. We go to PFF a lot. And I know it's not the end all be all. So we have some actual numbers. You know, PFF is grading, and we know grading's great, stats are great, person is great. So the PFF version is, as a rookie, he ranked 7th out of 119 edge rushers in the entire NFL with a score of 89, which is like a blue chip, absolute like elite level score. He got defensive rookie of the year, and he made the Pro Bowl that year. And then his second year, he had a little bit of a drop down back to earth, which is fine. If he was 89 that second year, they were probably never trading him because that's around where Myles has been through his prime, is around 90 to 93. But he dropped down. He still was about an 81, and he was still 14th out of 119th player. So on average, you're looking at a guy that was about 10th or 11th best pass rusher in the league in his first 2 years in the league. This is what I was talking about when I was like, Browns fans aren't familiar with him yet, or they would have been immediately like, we got more than a 1, because a number 1 pick doesn't get you a top 10 player 2 years in a row. You know, we were ecstatic about Carson Schlesinger getting defensive rookie of the year. This guy got defensive rookie of the year before. He's graded as rookie around that same era. So we're talking about a guy that's already sitting as about a top 10 PFF graded player 2 times in a row. 2 Pro Bowls in 2 years and 1 defensive rookie of the year. And we're talking about this kid like, I guess, you know, he could be okay maybe someday. Like, he's already, to me, is like, this guy's going to step in. He's your starting guy. He's already the best pass rusher on your team. Probably based on these scores, he's probably a top 3 defensive player on your team, wouldn't you say? Besides like Denzel Ward, who's definitely not on an upward trajectory. His best years are behind him. He's just hanging on to that great level.
And we're not trading him.
Carson Schlesinger. Like, is there a player on this team besides Carson Schlesinger that's better than this? Mason Graham's not. Alex Wright's not. Isaiah McGuire's not. I think this is Grant Delpit is great. He's not this.
I was just going to say, too, I was just looking down here at Devin Patterson's comment real quick, because their style defense, I was just getting ready to hit on this. They ran a 3-4. Okay. So we run a 4-3. So we got more down linemen. You guys know how that works. And then we have 3 linebackers, and then it's flip-flopped on a 3-4. So he might thrive. I think he might thrive more in our type of defensive scheme. I would have to go back and look, because you played for college, Florida. Was he from Florida? I just want to see.
State, I think it's Florida State. I'm
just kind of curious to see, since the Rams were running the 3-4, like Devin Patterson's talking about here. So now he's going to be, I'm pretty sure that Ruttenberg's going to be sticking with a 4-3, but I could be wrong. But that's typically what we do here. So that might open him up even more. And this kid's on his second season.
My coworker, actually.
Devin, you're right. So Devin, first of all, awesome comment. I wasn't really even thinking about that, even though that's a huge factor. The negative side is like it's a transition.
It out, man. I was just peeping.
No, that was smart. Yeah, that's a great comment.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking of it at all.
Mm-hmm.
The downside is like, well, now there's a question mark of how does he transition. But the upside is what you just said. He could be better.
Yeah, I would like to see what was Florida running. So like most of his college, maybe they ran a 4-3. I'd have to go back and look. This is stuff that I'd like to go back and look to see what kind of defense that he was running. They were running in college with him with. And then, he gets to the league and maybe that switched up, You know, it's just
So they played basically a 4-3, a 4-2-5, which is what we actually play more often. We don't really play a 4-3, or we don't really play a 4-3. We play more of a 4-2. But yeah, so that's what he did. So our defense is what he played in college.
okay. So
And he was a top pass rushing candidate. He dropped in the draft because he was a little older. You really want to draft in the first round somebody that's 22, and he was getting ready to turn 24. I think he was 23, getting ready to turn 24. So most people think he slid a little in the draft, not because of talent, but because there was younger guys at his level. And then he got into the league and showed, like, you probably shouldn't have let me slip. I'm the best pass rusher from that class, kind of stuff. And there were some good guys that came out too, by the way.
Yeah, I tell you what, I watched him this morning. I was actually watching some film of him. He's got I'm talking about, he got a top 10 bull rush. I watched him, his bull rush is nasty. He does have a nice swim move, but there's more building for him. He's only 2 seasons in. I mean, go watch some of go look his highlights up from the Rams. I want to dive in a little more into, I haven't yet, but I want to dive into a little bit more of his collegiate career. Looks like he was 2 seasons, I say, FSU. Yeah, I want to see, go back and watch it. I mean, he's definitely going to be a guy that is going to be a key element on our defense right away. So I just, I'm thinking of Schlesinger. I'm thinking of Mason Graham coming in and him having his sophomore year be big for him. I really do. I think that these guys are coming into their own. We're building a younger team now. All right.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm all for it, man. And like I said, go watch before anybody, if you don't know who he is, maybe go watch his film before you judge a guy and let his film speak for himself. And you might go,
yep.
Wow.
Look at his film, look at his numbers, and I agree with you. Some people would not have had the same initial reaction. And I think some of them are just like all of us. Like, if you were really sad to say goodbye to Myles, you're probably a little mad at Jared Verse, but he didn't make this trade, guys. In fact, I got to be honest, he kind of got screwed because our team finished with barely 8 wins the last 2 years, and his team finishes with 12 wins a season or more. He kind of got the raw end of the deal. He was a leader on a very good defense that was headed to the Super Bowl, and now he's in Cleveland, and it's up to the Browns front office to make this trade worth it for him by putting together a team that can get us where the Rams are. But Mike, what do you think? What are you thinking about the player, just Jared Verse, based on what we're seeing, the numbers that were just up on the screen? We can also throw up the other his comparisons in a minute, but what are you just thinking based on those numbers, those accolades, 2 Pro Bowls, defensive rookie of the year?
Well, like you said, there's nobody else on his team that is that capable of those numbers. He's going to come in here and be a leader. He's not going to be a slouch. He is going to make an impact on his team as a younger guy. I think walking in here is going to come in a leader, and that's what I love to see. I think Mike Rutenberg's happy to see this. I bet you that guy's ecstatic, and I bet you he's going to make this kid similar to Myles. I'm not going to say as good, honestly, but very similar. I think it's going to be something that Cleveland's going to look forward to. Once you guys see this kid in a Browns uniform playing on a field, making plays happen, making big plays happen, it's going to be awesome to watch, guys. I'm not doubting this kid whatsoever. So I am looking forward to this more than anything, a change. And like I said, it could be a morale culture thing as well. Who knows what Myles was really like in the locker room? That was talked about yesterday.
Yeah. And again, like, Myles has been criticized for the way he leads for a long time. I think Myles is I'm just going to play and be better than everybody else, and you guys try to keep up type of guy. But that hurts to lose. I think it will heal the pain a little bit if this kid mixes. I also am going to come in here and grind, and am going to be one of the best. Maybe he's not the best player in the league, but he's one of the best players on the defense, and he's going to come in and say, like, I'm going to try to be the best player on this defense. And if he can do that and mix that with, like, leadership and camaraderie with a bunch of other guys on this defense who are also, like, in their early 20s, a lot of the core of this defense now, I think that goes a long way. Do we have any other pop-ups or graphics, Mike? To
Yeah,
get through before we
first and
move on?
foremost, I do want to say, guys, no matter what, Myles Garrett will retire a Cleveland Brown. I don't care if he wins the Super Bowl in Los Angeles, he'll retire a Brown. This is where he was born, not obviously in Cleveland, but this is where his career started. This is where his career will end. 9 years is a long time.
Yep.
And he built that here, and he'll end it here.
I would agree. I think people are worried about that, and I do think that's a bummer. You know, it stinks that you even have to worry about that because you're like, this was our guy. Why do I even have to think about this? So I get that, but I would agree. Like I think it's a unlikely thing that a guy gets Defensive Player of the Year twice somewhere. The place that drafted him, the place where he plays, 9 of his first years, and he doesn't retire with that team, especially if he only ends up playing like another 4 or 5 years. Like I think he'll come back. So again, that's a big one. I didn't think we'd get this one. I think this is worth just looking at, guys. Screenshot this thing. Like, take a look at it. It got put together not by us, but by PFF. This is pretty legit. This is Myles Garrett, who we all agree is a better player, and the numbers on here will show it. But take a look at the snaps. Jared Verse played a little more last year for obvious reasons. And pass rush, that includes pass rush snaps and run snaps. But look at the pass rush grade. Yeah, Myles is superior, 94-88. Myles is deep into his prime. Jared Verse, we're hoping, isn't even to his prime yet. Run defense grade, 84. Again, superior to Jared Verse's 74. Pressures, though, Jared Verse actually led over the last 2 years with more pressures than Myles. He just wasn't able to close as well. And he doesn't have as good of an overall pass rush win rate. But his pressure rate is about the same per snap. His run stop rate is actually higher, even though his run grade isn't as high. I think it's just worth looking at. Like, Garrett's a better player, but this is not a guy who's on a different plane than most. There's Myles Garrett at the top, and then there's another tier of just top level pass rushers, and Jared Verse, who's not even in his prime, is already hitting that threshold.
Well, that, and you guys have heard me say this multiple times on a show, where pressures are almost as important as a sack. It's inevitable. You're going to screw up the play somehow, whether that be a run or a pass. You're going to get in there, you're going to disrupt the play, and it's going to show. That could cause an interception, fumbles, loss of yards. All those little things matter. Yes, sacks are great, but pressures are just as good. I'll say it. I'll die on that mound.
Yeah, and again, we talked about at the beginning of the show. They're not 1-to-1, obviously. The math that I've done says that they're probably 8-to-1. 8 pressures is probably worth 1 sack, and that's kind of what it looks like when you look at the top rushers in the league. So it's not a 1-to-1 play, but there's just so many more pressures, and pressures affect the play. And you can have a sack in a game, and it can make a difference to the whole game. But your pressures and your pressure rate is about how much you impact every play, even when you can't get the sack. And to most people from Cleveland who have been watching Myles Garrett get a couple less sacks than TJ Watt, but dozens and dozens more pressures, I think most Cleveland's people have now learned to understand, Myles Garrett is making people double team him. Myles Garrett's making the quarterback throw the ball shorter and less deep throws. He's making fumbles happen. He's making interceptions happen and pass breakups. He's making a quarterback just feel uncomfortable before the game even starts because he knows somebody's going to have pressure on him, and he's thinking about it. And it changes the way you game plan, you block. It changes the way the quarterback delivers the ball. So consistently, pressures are the more consistent stat.
Well, I'm going to say that pressures lead to mistakes. Mistakes
they do, for sure.
Mistakes lead to turnovers. So I would rather have, I would rather have, they went for it on 4th down, we sacked them, we got the ball back, or they went for it, decided to throw it, we pressured the quarterback, we pick six it. I'm looking at a bigger picture with that. So like I said, pressures cause mistakes. It's a fact. Mistakes usually can lead to turnovers. You know, I'd rather have 4 turnovers in the game that got us some type of points on the board than 10 sacks. What's 10 sacks going to do? I want points
I
on the
think
board.
a good analogy that I think of is I think of pressures as more like catches and yards, and I would think of sacks like touchdowns. Like I would rather have a receiver who has, you know, 1,400 yards and 4 touchdowns than a guy who's got 6 touchdowns and had 300 yards that season. They just happen to be in the red zone. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a more valuable thing to me is like maybe this receiver just doesn't get in the end zone a lot because your team's not very good and you don't score a lot. But that's almost what it's like. It's like pressures are your constant productivity. Sacks are like a touchdown, like how many times you score. And that just has so many more variables to it because maybe the quarterback has a great line or can get rid of the ball quick. Or is he Lamar Jackson? He's pressured, but you don't get the sack because he runs, but you made him run and he can't stand in the pocket and throw. Like there's just so many things to a touchdown. Like the touchdowns are a lot of times more variable of like, can the quarterback get you the ball in the end zone or wide open versus like, can you just constantly, I want a receiver that puts up 80 yards every game, and that's great, than one that gets a couple more touchdowns, but is just not constantly productive. So that's kind of my best analogy. You want both. You obviously want a 1,400 yard, 14 touchdown guy. But if you got a 1,400 yard, 4 touchdown guy, you're still feeling pretty good about that receiver. And you're like, we're probably just scoring by running the ball in or doing something else. Like we're getting that much out of the receiver. It's probably good. And so
something that I do want to bring up, think about that Greg Newsome trade for Tyson Campbell. That kid came here and dominated. He was not super awesome with the Jags, but he came to Cleveland. This defense worked for him, and he's dominating now. He's doing pretty damn good.
And with Tyson, though, it was Jacksonville a lot of zone. Here it was a lot of man. He thrived. He thrived on the man coverage. So now we're like we touched on earlier, first coming here to a 4-3 defense rather than a 3-4. He might thrive more. So, and he's like you see, he's a younger guy. So we got a lot to look forward to. I'm not, I'm not definitely not hanging it up because Myles Garrett's gone. Oh gosh, what am I going to do? No, we're going to move forward. We're building a younger team. We're trying to make it a good team, a great team before we get into this new dome. You don't think them guys are trying to do that? You think that you think Haslam and Barry's trying to do the least possible? You're not going to sell seats unless you got a team that's putting up some W's here, more than 5.
The clock's ticking.
Yeah,
the clock's ticking.
2029 will be here faster than you know it. So this is the time now to start fixing, and you got to get younger. You got to build, and you got to go. It's all or nothing, man. This dome is a big part of things too, and if you don't think it is, you're crazy. So
yeah, and so I don't know that it's safe to pick a team that way, but I think it comes into play that they're more worried about getting better in the future than what Myles Garrett can do the next year or two with them. And we've kind of all touched on that, and I think that all plays into it. So as far as next year's outlook, how do you think this affects directly next year's season? I don't think anybody can say next year with just Jared Verse instead of Garrett, we got better. But
you're going to see culture change. You changed your whole coaching staff. That's going to be a dramatic change. You got rid of Myles Garrett. You're fixing your offensive line. We don't know who our quarterback is, and we haven't since 1999. So that's fair to say, correct? But you guys, Chad, do you have any optimism this year? Like, are you looking forward to this year at all?
I didn't have any optimism for us before this, but it's because I don't believe in the quarterbacks as much as others do.
That's my honest opinion right now. Is the quarterback scenario once again is screwing us when we do have potential to be winning games. I am looking forward to the wide receivers, the offensive line being number one, because you guys know how strong I was on that. But for the receivers to come in to finally pick a quarterback, just to know what quarterback's going to be there would be great, right?
Yeah.
And then to see the outcome of games. Like we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, Chad. I think you might have even been on that show, Sam, where, you're not going to see all glitter and glory right away. It's going to be 4 or 5 weeks till these guys start meshing. So I'm not going
on the
to.
line more than anywhere, because that's all.
Right.
That's not. We added a piece in the secondary. We added a piece of the defensive line, like Jared Verse. We added a new linebacker. We added every single player that's going to be playing here was not a starter to start next season. And the only person on that line we've got, KT Levinson's going to compete. No starting job in sight. DeJuan Jones is going to compete. He's not going to be given one. Tevin Jenkins is going to compete. But however this works out, none of next year's day one starters are probably the starters on this line this year. It's one way or another, 80 to 100% of this line will probably be new to start the season. So that's what I just think I like the trajectory of the team. I like the young roster. I like that there's not much old left on the roster from when these last couple of years when we weren't very good. I think that it needs to accelerate, though, how fast we get good, because we don't want this group of young guys being losers for 3 years in a row like we've done in the past. We're like, oh, we like the young core. We like these young guys. But then they lose because we can't get the quarterback right. And so I guess I'll just cut right to the quarterback player, because I was going to get to it at some point where somebody was going to be like, there goes Chad on the quarterbacks.
No.
Myles Garrett wanted out of this. So what do you think Myles Garrett thinks of the quarterbacks in this room? I'm not really asking. It's a rhetorical. He obviously didn't look at Watson or Sanders and go, oh, yeah, we're in for a playoff run. Cancel my request for a trade. I want to stay. He wants to go to a Super Bowl contender. He's looking at this team and going, those aren't Super Bowl quarterbacks right now. He hasn't been to training camp, but he's seen them throughout this whole process last year, this year. Does Andrew Berry look at Shedeur Sanders and Watson and say, I think they're taking us to playoffs this year? Do you make this trade of the best defensive player in the draft if you think you have two quarterbacks that are carrying you to the playoffs this year, or that you're confident in? I don't think so. I think this trade just swirls up the idea that the players on this team and the general manager on this team do not believe that they have the quarterbacks to take them to the playoffs right now. And God, it would be the greatest thing for this team if they were wrong, but doesn't that just shout they don't think they have it? They just traded for somebody that will be better farther in the future instead of right now, and they traded for future assets. All of that screams to me they still think they need to find a quarterback, and they want this team to be ready in a year or two when that happens. They don't believe it's right now. And I'm not definitively saying for everybody that's going to come after us, how do you know Deshaun can't bounce back? How do you know Shador's not the guy? I don't. I'm saying they clearly also do not believe that, or they wouldn't have made this move.
No, you're absolutely right. Myles, on his quest for a Super Bowl, because part of your legacy is that, okay? Yes, you're going to look around and go, you know what? I've been here 9 damn years. And you know what's going on right now? They done got rid of my favorite coach, my defensive coordinator. Schwartz gone. We're bringing in Monken. He's never been a coach. You got to think this went through Miles's mind. He's never been a coach. He's never been a head coach. He's 60 years old. I don't see, this is a rebuild. This is another rebuild. I can't see, Myles had to go. I can't see them winning a Super Bowl anytime soon, and I'm not getting any younger. I got to go chase my dream. Okay? So that does tell me that. Now, does that mean, we can get on this quarterback thing all day. We got to see what happens in this training camp, and I don't even want to get into that. But as far as Myles wanting a ring, he simply looked around and he goes, it's not happening here anytime soon. He's checking Father Time on his watch, and that tells you that he knows that there's not going to be no Super Bowl coming here soon.
You knew there were signs of glory when you had 2 great drafts in a row. Something's going to happen. You're in a rebuild, clearly, but Chad didn't think we were, right? It's soft rebuild.
I still don't think I guess it depends on how you define it. I still
Well, now
don't
that we
think we're in
did
a
the
rebuild.
offensive line, we're no longer. I would say it was a soft rebuild before because
Yeah, the offensive line felt like it had to be rebuilt because all those guys are like old and moving on, and the only person you really let go was Wyatt Teller. Like Batonio was retiring. All of your other guys have kind of moved on. That you're right. We did rebuild the line. I just think I always call a rebuild like you're getting rid of like
everybody.
And I get no, and I guess you could call it a rebuild. Again, it's just semantics. Like rebuild, retool. They're moving into new younger players. So yeah, I guess you're right. If you want to call it a rebuild, like I wouldn't fight that. But I just think they're already well into it. I guess was how I'd put it. Like people are like, "Oh, great, we traded Myles. We're gonna rebuild again." I'm like, guys, we started rebuilding 2 years ago when we started letting old players go, and we got a bunch of draft picks, and we drafted like 12 players 2 years ago. We get 10 players 2 years ago, and then this year we drafted another 10 players. And so we're not. I don't believe we're starting a rebuild. I believe we're 2 years into a rebuild that's getting close to done. How many more What positions are you like? We don't have a young, talented guy in this position group.
Our coaching staff. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I think
Not our head coach.
I think,
right.
But
So,
I think Monken was the right call, though. I'm not gonna, I just think that
yeah, it's
it's
still up in the air.
You got to think that Myles and Jim Schwartz had a really good connection together. Would this have changed if Schwartz got the call to be the head coach of our team? We'll never know because it didn't ever happen.
Well, and he asked for this trade before
Right.
we ever even fired Kevin. So like,
right.
But I don't think it's not a factor anymore. I think you're still right. I still think Schwartz leaving, either not getting a head coaching job or not staying on as the DC, is just another change that let Myles go. This isn't the same team. These aren't the same players I've ever played with. This isn't the same coaches I've ever been coached by. I don't want to. If I'm starting, it's just like a job. If your boss leaves and then 5 of your coworkers leave and there's only like 7 of you, you're like, okay, well, 5 out of the 6 of my coworkers just left. I'm going to be starting a whole new job with a whole new boss and some whole new responsibilities and expectations. That's when people are like, why don't I just go to a whole new job? Like, this is a good time to leave. Maybe I can get paid more. Maybe I can go to a place that has better out. It opens the door. You're right with Schwartz leaving for Myles to go. Well, now there's like nothing here I'm familiar with. Right. So I might as well just go to the Rams and be not familiar there where they're already good.
Well, yeah, right. Exactly. I was going to say that too. And yeah, why not? Why would I stick around now? Because like you said, Mike, you said it and we've all said it. We got a whole new coaching staff. I mean, Monken brought with him like 28 members, 28 different staff guys. That's a lot of different faces. That's your new.
Does that mean Baltimore is going to be garbage this year now?
What's that?
So does that mean Baltimore is going to be trash now?
Oh, we can only hope.
Yeah, we hope. But yeah. Sam, man, you just kind of blew my mind with that. I think you're spot on. Like that was just probably the kicker of like, it's time to move on. Like I wanted to trade last year because I thought this team was going to be bad, and they were, and I was the best I've ever been, and we were just as bad as ever, which is why people can be optimistic about it because, guys, Myles Garrett wasn't winning the Browns the Super Bowl, and they didn't move on just because of that. They moved on because they know there's something else that they need to win the Super Bowl, and they don't know when they're going to get it.
Right.
So they're trying to get pieces.
Like Mike said, you're looking around, you're seeing all these new faces of coaches. And then if you're going to do that and you want that Super Bowl, you're going to go to a team that's going to give a better chance. You're looking at McVay like, you know what? His track record speaks for him. I already know I'm stepping into a good coach. But really, man, man, that's just so much. What I would really like to know, man, maybe this will happen sometime down the line. Maybe when Myles retires, it'll come out. But I want to know, man, last year when they was talking about all this and that about what was going on with Myles, and like to be on a fly on the wall in the room, because first he wanted to go. And then Barry and them must have said some crazy, spectacular thing's going to happen. Give it another year. And he bought into it. And I know some of it was the money, but I want to know what they told him. Like, you know what? We're going to get this guy, that guy, and we're going to be.
You know what I think they told him? we're going to make this incredible trade out of the first round. We're going to have 2 good first rounders next year. We are definitely going to be able to use that to get our franchise quarterback. And then this year came, and it was Mendoza. And he was never going anywhere else. And they were like, shoot. Like what? How many years can you pick at the top? Like, so last year they picked second, or they were at least slated to pick second. This year they were slated to pick what, 5th? And they had a second first round pick that they could have used to trade into the number 2 spot. How many years in the NFL draft is that not enough to get your franchise quarterback? Just such a bad coincidence that 2 years ago and this year's draft class for quarterback was so bad, because normally there's like 4 guys and you're like, if I've got the second pick in the draft, I'm at worst getting my number 2 choice, and maybe I'll get my number 1 choice. And if I'm picking 5th with a 24th pick, which they thought, I think, like me, that'll probably be like 15, I can move to like 2nd or 3rd or 4th, and I'll get a quarterback there. 2 years in a row, that guy wasn't there. And I know we have a lot of fans that believe a lot in Shedeur Sanders. I'm just telling you, not only have I not seen it, I don't think Myles has either, or I don't think he would have been like, get me out of here. We're not, that guy's not, if it won't be, doesn't mean he's never going to be good. It means that he's not ready to take this team on a playoff run. And it's a bummer.
I'm going to bring up the next question here because I had something to go with this that's going to make the chat go insane.
I was just going to say, before you say that, though, this has been one of the best. I'm sad we have so many points to get to today. I almost wish I had like made this less, because the chat is awesome today. There's so many good points in there. And after we're done at the end, we're going to end up at our normal time, but maybe we'll be able to hit 1 or 2 more topics that they are talking about. But like, the chat is killing it today.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you guys. We appreciate the feedback on here, and we're watching as you're coming in, and we'll try to get to some of your comments, man. It's a big thing too. You guys do bring up valid points. That's why we are here, and we are talking our team that we love, so earlier I was getting ready to spit out 3-4 defense, and our guy Devin over here was already on it. So we were reading each other's minds. So shout out to Devin Patterson, 17-15 over there.
That's my new coworker. But yeah, guys.
There you go.
What I want to ask everybody is, this is actually Chad's question, but I'm stealing and adding some to it. But
I don't care. Do it.
1, do you guys think that the Cleveland Browns are in full tank mode? And 2, are we doing? Listen, hold on. Are we doing this for our quarterback Arch Manning next year? Is that what we're doing? Full tank mode. For
Somebody had to do that. Somebody had to do that.
No.
So
what can I get? All right, go ahead.
Hear me out. You guys, we are not tanking. You have a brand new head coach that's got a job that he's going to be fighting for, and he's going to try to prove himself with his staff. They're not going out there to lose this year. You had 2 great drafts. You're not going to waste those players' talent to lose games. You're not. I don't care who anybody's. No. Just no. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We're not tanking, and I sure to hell hope we do not get Arch Manning. That's what I'm going to
hating say. Already. Hating on Arch Manning already. Wow.
Dude, he's not going
Let
to
the kid play in college first.
Live the legendary name. He will not. I promise.
So this comes down for me as like same thing as like rebuild. Is the definition of tanking. So for me, players don't tank. You don't purposely not play hard so that somebody can come take your job next year. You're trying to make your money. You're trying to play your best constantly. Do they give up sometimes? Yeah. At the end of a season, if they give up, it's not because they're like, we want to come in lower so that you draft a guy to replace me or compete with me. But they might just give up because they're like, they have no hope. They're not in a good space. They're not in a good mentality. Is tanking? Does a coach tank? Do you think Monken? Does anybody in this chat think Monken is going to purposely lose any games or not try to win every game? No fucking way. There's no way. Monken's not tanking. The young players on this team who have not been here for 25 years losing, they just got here, are not going to tank. The one person I've always believed is able to tank you is the front office and Andrew Berry. Here's why I'd even push back on that, because my definition of tanking is you purposely set yourself up to be worse this year so that you lose, so that you can't win games, so that you finish at the bottom. if Andrew Berry wanted to tank, would he have taken Jared Verse or would he have asked for more future firsts? Because Jared Verse helps us win games this year. Future firsts do not. And so if he was actually in full tank mode, he would have said, save Jared Verse. Just give us all the picks, not players that can help us right now. And Jared Verse isn't like a young developmental player. He can get better, but he's already made 2 Pro Bowls out of 2 years, guys. He is a starting pass rusher for, I would beg you to go find a team in the league that already has 2 top 10 pass rushers, because that's the only team he wouldn't start for, is a team that already has 2 top 10 pass rushers. And there's not many. The one that there might be is the Rams now, because they have Myles Garrett and his counterpart. Was it Byron Young? So the Rams are maybe the only team where he became the third guy. And I got to tell you, he's much younger and has more upside than their other pass rusher. So he still could have came in and become number 2 for them this year. So again, the only person that can really tank you is your front office. And if they were trying to tank, they're trying to get a quarterback without tanking. That's why they're constantly trying to get another first-round pick while keeping their team competitive, because that's the best way you get a quarterback. Now, if they were tanking, we'd be seeing a lot of reps by Dylan Gabriel, wouldn't we? We don't think he's going to be winning a lot of games in the NFL. They're letting their quarterbacks compete, and they're going to let Todd Monken put a quarterback out there to win. Again, they're putting themselves in a little bit of a position not to be as good as possible this year, but they're sacrificing this year a little bit for their future in a different way by being strategic instead of tanking. That's my opinion. I don't think they're tanking. I think they're strategically setting themselves up to continue building. A tank would be
to be good in 2029 and enter a new dome.
If they were tanking, would they have picked up 5 new high-priced linemen? Nope. They would have let all those struggles from last year come in, and they would have let Watson, who they don't give a crap about anymore because he doesn't probably have a future here no matter what, and or Shador sink or swim behind this terrible line. But instead, they spent like 15 to 20 mil a year on all these different, and each of these linemen, because they're not tanking. They're trying to build. They're 2 years into a rebuild.
I called the entire quarterback play it out last year. I called it. Remember? 4.
Yeah.
4. But anyways, I'm going to tell you, you're going to see Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson will start the season. Guys, you're going to try to get whatever you can out of him, right? Okay? I'm going to make this quick. By week 5 or 6, he'll be out again, and Shador Sanders will be your starting quarterback. You got to see what you can have in him, right? I mean, honestly, unless Deshaun Watson is winning games, you're going to see Shador Sanders in there by week 5 or 6. They're going to have something meshed by then, and then that way you'll be able to find out who the hell your quarterback could possibly be next year. If Shador could shine, that's who it's going to be. Don't waste it on a possible in the 3rd round or the 5th round or the 1st, for that matter, because every year is a quarterback draft class. Anyways, guys, what is the identity of the defense right now?
Hang on, I wanted to get to real quick, man, about tanking.
Oh yeah.
I didn't get a chance to say shit
I
about
thought
that.
so. For those that are listening by chance and not watching, we basically were going to skip Sam, because if you saw his reaction to the question, I was like, well, Sam, okay. But
I'll hit it real quick.
Let him speak. No, you got to tell him what we all just saw.
You don't bring a new coach over here in Monken, okay? You don't bring a new coach over here and he brings over 28 new members to right a ship, okay? Just so you say we go out here and we are winning games, okay? So they're like, man, this is looking too good. We're winning. Who's going to break the news to Monken? I don't know. We're gonna have a sit down with him, Jimmy. All right, Barry, what do you think we're gonna do? We're gonna have to break the news to him. You don't bring a new coach in here to tell him to lose games. You don't do it that way. You just don't. And like you said, Chad, they spent a lot to get this line better. If they, like you said, if they wanted, the tanking could have been in the pudding if you'd have left the line, like you said, alone and didn't really patch it, like you said. Bingo. Okay. So they're here to put up W's on the board. Depending now, how many are we going to get? Okay. We don't know yet. We don't even know who's going to be the quarterback yet. Okay. We don't. But Monken did say in the beginning, we've talked about it. I'm tired of talking about it. He's going to put the best quarterback forward. He's just not going to start Shador because it's Shador. He's just not going to put in Watson because, I don't know, we're still paying on him to see what he's got. It's ridiculous. You're going to put the best quarterback forward to not tank a season, to win games. It's about winning games. You have, and like I said, you got to get this, you got to get these fans to believe in your product. Because a lot of fans don't, because they've been getting nothing but crap for how long now? So it's got to stop. They know it's got to stop. So you don't bring a new guy in here like Monken and say, all right, man, hey, you know what? You won 4 games in a row. We're looking pretty good this year, but we need you to kind of calm that down. And we're going to have to figure out a way to make us not win. That does not even make sense. I don't care. Arch Manning, Joe Montana's 5th grandson, I don't care who it is. I don't care. You don't do that to bringing in a new guy. Why would you even bother bringing in a new coach? Yeah, it's just ridiculous to even think that people think that for this
Cleveland has the opportunity to pretty much abolish Deshaun Watson's career. I mean, there's certain ways you could do that. You could not play him, and what are you going to do next? Just pay him.
I tell you what, Deshaun Watson comes out here and we win 4 or 5 games in a row. Everybody's going to forget about all the bullshit. And they're going to be like, we're winning games. Let's go. And that's going to be it. If you're a true Browns fan, and if you're not, you're going to be like, man, my guy Shador should have got that start. Well, Shador wasn't showing to be the best man up yet. I'm not hating on Shador, so don't get it twisted. I'm just talking about the best quarterback.
It's so hard to make a Shador comment without being positive that he's going to be incredible. You always have to have like a caveat of like, I'm not hating on him.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, man, we want to put W's on the board. That's the name of the game, literally, to win games. So, if it comes down to the best quarterback, it's going to be put out there. And if it's, like I said, if it's Watson, let's go. You guys want to win games, or you guys want to keep losing and looking like dog shit? I don't want to do that no more. I don't think that this organization that wants to do that anymore. They're ready to come up. We got to come up and start winning games. And the only way
if you don't have a quarterback, there's only one way. Like, yes, some teams get lucky, but if you don't have a quarterback, the best way you get one, and I won't even say you don't have one, because one of these two guys could win 8+ games this year, and you're like, actually, if it's a guy coming off that many injuries winning 8 games, or a guy that's as young as Sanders winning 8 games, and you're like, okay, maybe we got something here, and we can actually, the whole rest of the team's so young, we're only getting better. So, but when you don't know if you have a franchise quarterback, in my opinion, there's only one way to try to get one without having to tank, which is like there's a really good way to get one. The Raiders just did it. They let guys sit on IR. They traded a bunch of guys. They didn't put their best foot forward. They wanted to come in last place. They actively tried to come in last place, and that's how they got their quarterback. They picked first. The Browns did that too. Back in like 2015 and 16, we tried to we got rid of every good player on the roster. We didn't want, it's not just that we went young. We got rid of every player that's worth being on an NFL roster that we could. Even if it wasn't for capital, we let all of our free agents walk. We traded everybody we could. We took even lowball offers because we wanted to come in last so we could pick Myles Garrett and then Baker Mayfield. We did that on purpose. That is a tank. We tried to lose every game possible. When you can't do that, because what the Browns are not going to get rid of, their talent is young. You can't get rid of Fannin. You can't get rid of Schlesinger. You can't get rid of Graham. You can't get rid of these guys. Your best guys are too young, so you can't get rid of them. So you can't really tank. So the best way you can give yourself a shot to get a future quarterback and get in the playoff mix consistently is get future first-round picks. The Browns have one way to do that on this team without getting rid of a young core piece, and it was Myles, and they did it. The next one people are talking about, and I just saw it in the chat like twice, is Denzel. Does this mean Denzel is going next? Denzel's a very different player for multiple reasons. One, he's not worth 2 first-round players in a second. He's worth a second. Denzel is no longer worth a first-round pick, guys. I'm sorry, Clevelanders. I love him as much or more than anybody. He's the ultimate Cleveland player. And number 2, Myles asked to be traded last year and wanted to be traded this year. Denzel has always said, I was a Cleveland fan. I was a Buckeye. I want to stay in Cleveland forever. It doesn't mean they can't trade him. It's just a different situation because they're not going to get a future first to try to get their quarterback with him. So I don't know if he gets traded. Like, I still don't think it's a
Barry
tank
said
even if
no.
he did, because they're going to try to get players.
Barry
But
said
that's
he's
gonna come
not
up.
going to. Barry said he's not going to trade him, but that that could change next week. So
You're right. Barry said he's not going to trade him because you're never going to come out and be like, we're trying to trade this guy that might be on the team this year.
Yeah,
But
so I mean, and like
it's just a very different thing than Myles.
And really quick too with the quarterback thing. Okay, so Monken says best man forward, and he chooses Watson. Okay, because it's about winning games. It's not about jersey sales. Okay, and I'm still not hating on Shador. Just peep it out. Watson comes in and he starts because he looks sharp. He looks like the guy that's going to get some W's on the board. Okay. And then maybe you actually bridge a rookie quarterback the right way and then let him learn some more. So maybe that Shador will have an opportunity the following year to actually build, learn, and shine more. I mean, that's a possibility that's there too, everybody. So just because I'm saying Watson, I'm not even saying Watson's going to be star. I'm saying the best guy's got to be a star. It could still be Shador Sanders. Okay. But I think, you got to think of it. I think of it both ways too. So if it's Deshaun, maybe you actually put Sanders on the back and you let him learn, because I'm a big fan of that. I think I've said it before. I think a lot of these rookie quarterbacks get thrown into this NFL fire too soon, and that can destroy their careers, before they even get started. So,
especially in Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, let's just win. Let's win some games with the best we can put out there, the best product. I'm all
we
about
don't
it.
want a subpar Baker anymore. We want. I'm kidding. That was.
I mean, they're dying to take back the clock on that trade. If they hadn't never traded Baker, and I know him and Myles weren't like best buds, Myles may not be looking to go somewhere that can win. He's looking to go somewhere that can win because 3 out of the last 4 years we were not good and we couldn't even make the playoffs, let alone compete in the playoffs. And he's ready to do that. They had their chances. It's not just the Watson trade either, although that was what it will always come back to for me, because that is the big failed trade that changed their trajectory from up to a consistent playoff team to crumbling. And it's mostly to me about the injuries. I think Deshaun Watson was playing and going to continue to play and get better than most Browns fans do. A lot of people are like, he came in here and he sucked. I mean, he wasn't the top 3 guy you hoped you were getting, but if he had played this whole time, I think you would have some playoff games under your belt. But he's never played. He plays 5 to 6 games a season. Last year, he missed the entire year. Like, you can't have any franchise guy that you paid franchise quarterback money and traded all those picks for not play, or you're going to lose. Nobody overcomes that. It's one or the other. Guys have traded 3 picks for two first rounders, 3 first rounders for a quarterback that didn't work. It happened in Indy. It happened in San Francisco. Guys have paid $45 million for a quarterback who didn't work. It happened in Denver. It's happened before with Russ. You can't do both. You can't pay a guy $40-something million a year and give up 3 firsts and him not play and succeed. Nobody wins. 0 NFL teams, with no matter who the coach or franchise is, win in that scenario. And that dropped their trajectory. Now, again, now they're looking at, we need to make sure we have a quarterback. Maybe it's one of the guys in the room. If it's not, how can we make sure we're in the best position to get one if it's not one of the guys in the room? And they just did that by adding a future first, a future second, and a future third. Those are 3 pretty valuable picks that they can use to put themselves in place to get a quarterback. And if these last 2 drafts were as good as we think they were, in fact, I'll just say the last one 2 years ago was. If this draft plays out like all of the graders are saying, then there's not going to be much argument that that's the only thing they need to finish, is finding that quarterback position. And they're going to be ready to continue to build, compete, and try to get a championship.
We got to see what we got here now. This is the now. Okay. So we got to live in the now. And like I said, I'm going to say it again. I'm not anti-Shedeur Sanders. I'm not anti-Watson. Did I like Watson? The whole trade of Watson coming here, I hated it. So I already knew there was going to be baggage, and I did not want it. But he's here. This is who we have, okay? And we have Shedeur Sanders, and there's still a Dylan Gabriel in there. And now there's what's the other young guy we got? Kalen Green or Taylon Green. We got all these guys in the room again, but you know. I just want to win football games. So if it's Shedeur, put Shedeur out there. If it's Watson, put Watson out there. It's about getting these W's. And then, you know, like I said, the ball can go either way. I mean, I see the comments. Some people are saying, you know, you got to go with Shedeur right away. Okay, so you people that are saying, let's go with Shedeur right away if he's not ready and he goes out there and fails, then what are you going to say? Should have started Watson.
Should have got the offensive line.
So we gotta put the best guy forward. Monken will have that sooner than later. I talked about it before. I don't see this dragging out through the whole training camp. There's going to be a guy. It's going to be announced sooner than later. We're not going to have the Kenny Pickett first Flacco. What's going on? It's not going to be that way. They're ready to get to work, and how you get to work is you focus on the best guy. You run with it. And it's about putting the W's on the board. So let the best man win.
Best man forward right now and end the show because 4:45 in the morning comes really fast. So I want to thank everybody tonight for joining us. Sorry to cut you short there, Sam.
No, you're okay. I'm used to it. No, just go ahead.
Again, everybody.
You say short. I'm getting shorter and shorter.
Go to Cleveland Scene Magazine and vote for us for Best Sports Podcast. Let's two-peat this again. Thank you guys for all joining the chat. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. We appreciate you all, and we'll might see you Saturday. We're trying to work on some kinks for Saturday's show, but we will let you know. There's the quarterback train. You guys hear that? That is awesome. Always right at the end of the show. But yes, thank you guys for joining us. Vote, and we will see you soon.
Thank you, guys. Myles will retire a Brown, by the way. James, we kind of touched that earlier. Myles will retire a Brown.
Oh, yeah. As Angel would like to say, go Browns.
See you.